All right, so today we're diving into this story that's everywhere right now. The nomination of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., RFK Jr., as everyone's calling him, for the position of U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services. We're looking at this article from Al Jazeera that really highlights the very public opposition he's getting from his own family, specifically his cousin, Caroline Kennedy.
Yeah, it's not every day you see a family that's known for being so close in politics.
Yeah.
Publicly disagree like this.
And this is a big position. The Secretary of Health and Human Services oversees major agencies like the FDA and the CDC. So this position really has a huge impact on public health policy here in the U.S. And RFK Jr. has a controversial stance on vaccines.
Why?
There are a lot of questions swirling around this whole thing.
It's interesting, because Caroline Kennedy, she usually stays pretty quiet about family matters. So her criticism here really caught everyone's attention.
Yeah, she didn't hold back at all. In her letter to the Senate, she didn't just oppose the nomination. She called RFK Jr. a predator, accusing him of exploiting vulnerable parents, especially those with sick children, to push his own agenda.
And her son, Jack Schlossberg, he posted a video of her reading that letter online.
Yeah.
And it went viral pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's like social media turned a personal statement into this major news event.
For sure.
But it's not just family drama, is it? There are some serious allegations here about RFK Jr.'s past that Caroline brought up in that letter.
Yeah, some pretty disturbing behavior.
She claims he encouraged drug use among his family members when he was younger.
Even though he dealt with his own addiction later on.
Right, and there's this detail about him blending live animals to feed his birds of prey.
Wow.
It's pretty intense imagery when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, we need to remember that these are allegations. But it's hard to ignore the potential impact on his character assessment here, especially for a role that involves public trust.
Right, and the well-being of a lot of vulnerable people. It's interesting to consider this. In the context of his political journey, it hasn't exactly been a typical path, has it?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
He launched his own presidential campaign, which, let's be honest, it was a long shot from the beginning.
And he got opposition from his own family, too, right?
Yeah, 5 of his siblings endorsed Biden instead, publicly rejecting his run for president.
That couldn't have been easy.
I can't imagine.
Then he suspends his campaign and endorses Trump.
Yeah, that really threw things for a loop.
His family called it a betrayal of his father's values.
Which makes sense. Because this endorsement of Trump is really crucial here, because it ties directly back into his nomination. Trump, during his campaign, promised to let RFK Jr. go wild on public health if he won.
And here we are, back to this nomination. And the potential impact it could have, RFK Jr.'s history of anti-vaccine activism.
This is the big one, right? This isn't just about personal opinions anymore if he's confirmed. He might have influence over vaccine mandates in schools or federal funding for vaccine research.
Yeah, a lot of public health experts are deeply concerned about that. Caroline Kennedy specifically addressed this in her letter, expressing concern over his potential to spread misinformation from such a powerful position.
That's really the key takeaway here for our listener. This isn't just political theater. This is about policies that could have a very real impact on your lives. The Secretary of HHS oversees agencies like the FDA and the CDC, impacting everything from the drugs you have access to the health guidance you receive.
It's like we're at a crossroads. You have this powerful political legacy in the Kennedy name, but then you have this figure who seems to be at odds with many of the values associated with that name.
Yeah, it's a fascinating paradox. He's drawing on his family's legacy for political capital. But at the same time, he's facing intense scrutiny and rejection from within that very family.
His nomination also drew comparisons to the recent confirmation of Pete Hegseth as defense secretary.
Oh, yeah. Hegseth's confirmation was incredibly contentious, too. He faced allegations of sexual misconduct, alcohol abuse. Even his sister-in-law submitted an affidavit accusing him of abusive behavior.
And he was still confirmed in a tight vote.
Yeah. The vice president had to break the tie.
It makes you wonder, if someone with Hegseth's background was confirmed, what does that say about the bar for this position?
Right. It sets a precedent. That's hard to ignore.
But it makes you think, will we see similar dynamics play out with RFK Jr.?
And another thing, David Axelrod, who's a former Obama official, pointed out how unusual it is for Caroline Kennedy to speak out publicly about family matters.
It definitely adds another layer of significance to this whole story.
Oh, for sure. She must have felt this was something so important that she had to break her usual silence.
It makes you wonder what kind of pressure she must have felt. To go public like that, it definitely raises the stakes and makes this whole nomination process even more unpredictable.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen.
Right? No one knows where this is going. Yeah, it really makes you think about the weight of that Kennedy legacy and what it means in today's political landscape.
It's interesting you have RFK Jr. invoking his family's legacy in his campaign, but he's also facing strong disapproval from within the family itself.
He seems to be carving his own path, even if it means going against the grain of what we might traditionally expect from a Kennedy.
And that defiance, whether you agree with his views or not, makes this a captivating story. The upcoming Senate confirmation hearings are going to be fascinating to watch.
Oh, absolutely. RFK Jr. is scheduled to appear before the Senate, and I'm sure everyone will be tuning in to see how he addresses these allegations and the opposition from his own family.
It'll be interesting to see how he navigates that tension between his family's legacy and his own political choices, especially since he's chosen to align himself with Trump, who represents a very different ideology from the traditional Democratic values often associated with the Kennedys.
It's a reminder that family legacies aren't static. They evolve, and sometimes they take unexpected turns. And it's not just the Kennedys. We've seen similar dynamics with other political families, like the Bushes.
Right, think about George W. Bush following in his father's footsteps, and then Jeb Bush struggling to gain traction when he ran for president.
It highlights the challenge of establishing your own political identity. When you come from a family with such a strong political presence, there's this constant comparison, the weight of expectations, and the potential for both support and rejection.
It's like you're constantly being measured against your family's achievements. It's got to be incredibly difficult to break free from that and truly forge your own path.
And that's what makes RFK Jr.'s story so compelling. He seems to be consciously defying those expectations, embracing the controversy, even welcoming the conflict.
It's almost as if he's saying, I'm a Kennedy, but I'm doing things my own way, even if it means alienating his family and challenging traditional political norms.
But beyond the personal drama and all the political maneuvering, it's important to remember what's truly at stake here.
Exactly. This isn't just a captivating story. This is about the potential leadership of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, a position with an immense impact on public health policy, vaccination programs, drug approvals, and healthcare access.
And RFK Jr.'s controversial views, especially on vaccines, could have far-reaching consequences if he were to be confirmed.
This deep dive is crucial for our listener because it's not just about understanding the story itself. It's about understanding the potential consequences of RFK Jr.'s appointment and what it could mean for public health policy in the years to come. Decisions made at this level impact everyone.
It's almost like we're at a turning point where the traditional rules of political dynasties might not apply anymore.
It raises questions about how power is inherited, how legacies are shaped, and what it really means to be a Kennedy in the 21st century.
We're witnessing a shift in how personal lives, family dynamics, and political power all intersect, and how that plays out in the public eye.
Absolutely, and the influence of social media can't be overlooked either. Think about how Caroline Kennedy's letter, amplified by her son's video, brought their family feud into the spotlight.
It's a reminder that we're in a new era of political communication, where personal narratives and emotional appeals can have a significant impact.
It creates both opportunities and challenges for those seeking to engage in public discourse. But what's really fascinating is how RFK Jr.'s story resonates with these broader trends we're seeing in politics.
Okay, so let's bring it back to you, our listener. Knowing what you now know about RFK Jr.'s past, his family's opposition, and this current political climate, what do you think his potential impact on public health could be? It's a crucial question to consider.
We've seen how personal beliefs, family dynamics, and political maneuvering can converge to shape policy decisions. And those decisions made by those in power, they affect all of us.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that we need to stay informed, engage in these discussions and hold our leaders accountable for their actions.
It's not just about one man's ambition or even a family feud at this point.
This is about the health and well-being of millions of Americans.
Exactly, and that's what makes this deep dive so important.
It's about understanding the potential consequences and the implications of this appointment and what that could mean for public health policy.
Yeah, in the coming years, we've seen how personal beliefs and family dynamics can really intersect with politics
to shape these policies that impact us all.
And in this case, those policies could have a direct effect on things like vaccination programs, drug approvals, and even access to health care.
So it really underscores how important it is to stay engaged and informed as citizens.
Absolutely, especially in today's world, where information and misinformation can spread so quickly.
It's more crucial than ever to critically evaluate the information we're consuming.
And engage in these discussions, with each other.
So as we move forward, let's all keep our eyes on this story and see how it unfolds.
The Senate confirmation hearings are going to be a key moment to watch. We can expect to hear a lot more about RFK Jr.'s views then, and how he responds to the criticisms and concerns that have been raised.
It's going to be fascinating to see how he navigates this whole complex landscape and what impact his choices ultimately have on public health in America.
And for our listener, we hope this deep dive is giving you the insights and context you need to understand this whole unfolding story.
We encourage you to continue exploring this topic, asking those tough questions, and engaging in these thoughtful discussions about the future of public health in our country.
It's through informed and engaged citizens that we can shape a healthier future for everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.